Welcome back. Bank of America has a new program to help illegal immigrants build a credit history so they can buy cars, houses, and other big-ticket items. Now, critics say the bank is wrong, helping people who violate immigration laws. What do you think? Here's Fox 4's Laurie Barriger now with more.
They earn billions of dollars a year. Their numbers are growing. Now Bank of America hopes to cash in. The country's second largest bank has begun offering credit cards to people without Social Security numbers.
I think this is an acknowledgement by corporate America that undocumented workers are valuable to society.
The cards aren't cheap. They have higher interest rates and low credit limits. Still, some see it as a gamble.
It seems to me like it would be a risky clientele.
I wouldn't want to be the bank offering that credit.
Michael Ysasaga of the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber of Commerce says most illegal immigrants are incredibly responsible with their money.
With respect to undocumented workers who have bank accounts, who don't overdraft, they pay their bills on time.
A spokesman for the Federation for American Immigration Reform said they are clearly crossing the line. They are actually aiding and abetting people who broke the law.
Not a good decision.
You wouldn't support it at all?
No, not at all.
I don't care for that. I think they don't have a Social Security number. They don't have the right to get a credit card just like that.
Some are able to separate the immigration issue from the bottom line.
Somebody's got money and they got the credit. I don't see a problem with it.
Obviously, big banking, corporate America, has decided that having undocumented workers have credit cards, it makes good economic sense.
And to continue the conversation, Michael Ysasaga with the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is here today on the Inside Set. Welcome to the living room, my friend.
No, Sean, thanks for having me.
The first question that I want to ask you, of course, you've seen the flashpoint on this already.
Yeah, I have.
It is a test right now in California. Do you expect it to become a staple and spread across the country?
Yeah, I think absolutely. There's no question about it. It was run in L.A. very successfully by Bank of America. They have moved it, and when they looked at it, they looked at the default rates, and they did the appropriate assessments that you would think a big bank would do. Then, of course, they moved it into a 51-branch market, and now they're going to move nationwide with it.
Now, there are a lot of illegal immigrants, not just Hispanic nature, Hispanos, in America. So, but again, the vast majority of people are going to be impacted by this are of Latino origin, especially in L.A., in the Southwest, in Texas. Let me ask two questions. One, do you think it's right to do without a Social Security card?
Well, what has happened is the banks have recognized that it's a better in terms of their testing creditworthiness. It's better to have some discretion with respect to lending credit, and that's exactly what they've done. Having a Social Security card doesn't guarantee creditworthiness, doesn't guarantee whether or not somebody's going to pay back a loan. I mean, that's very clear. What is a better avenue to check creditworthiness is history, and these people have history.
I agree with that. I also agree with what you said in the piece about undocumented workers holding on to their money, paying their bills, being more responsible in many ways than Americans. My question, though, is it, maybe I'll rephrase it, is it a double standard? You know, my daughter cannot go get a credit card without a Social Security number because she's an American citizen.
Well, in fact, that's not true. I know that a lot of that seems to be the myth, but if you go to Bank of America, they have the individual evaluation on creditworthiness, and if you just, they're not discriminating as to whether you've got one or not. What makes the difference is whether you pay your bills.
Right. I think people are seeing this, and I think people are saying there seems to be a double standard here, and we can't go do this. Why should these undocumented illegal immigrants be able to go do this?
Well, in many cases, let me give you a good example. There's a gentleman named Juan Ramirez. Juan Ramirez was banking at the Bank of America. He was there for 9 years. Paid his bills on time, no overdrafts, couldn't get a mortgage, couldn't get a credit card. Well, why? It doesn't make sense. I mean, the gentleman is working 2 jobs. He's generating quite a bit of money, making $25,000, which which is a lot of money for some people.
Yes.
And so the bank has decided, looking at his history, that, again, he's paying his taxes. He's got an individual tax identification number. He's got, as I said, appropriate history. Why not lend him some money?
Now, another question. Do you see this as exploitation of a group?
No, I don't, and here's why. Because there isn't. I think the bank is right. There is an inherent amount of risk when it comes to lending money to undocumented workers, but the risk is commensurate with the reward on their side. I mean, they're charging 21 point. I believe 21.4.
You know,
so.
they're right at the limit that the law allows, and it seems exorbitant amount of interest, albeit high risk. You know. But hey, that could be me, and if I can get a credit card, you know, my interest might not be as high because I'm not an undocumented worker, so to speak.
Right, but at the end of the day, I mean, the bank recognizes fiscal trends. I mean, they're very good at that. That's why they're banks. They know that this is an untapped market. In fact, many people are completely unaware of the fact that undocumented workers have contributed a $500 billion into Social Security. Now, that's a system that they'll never draw out of. They'll never receive any benefits from. But it does demonstrate the fact that they can generate quite a bit of money. And where do they spend that money? Well, they spend it on American companies. They spend it on American goods. They buy gas. They buy groceries, and anything that's gonna prop up the American economy. I just don't know how anybody has a problem with that.
There are some folk who say they're still here illegally, and so because they have violated the law by entering the country illegally, they should not be able to have access to a credit card. And your response to that as well?
Well, my response is a very practical response. Yes, they're undocumented. There's no question about it. They're here illegally, and I think people that skirt that issue do the situation a disservice. That is why I've always advocated for a more comprehensive immigration reform. But on the practical side, they're here. We have to deal with the fact that they're here. They're intertwined in society. They're good, hardworking citizens. They believe the big three: faith, family, and hard work. Banks know that. So what do we do when they are here? And I think the solution to that is you put them on the road to citizenship by extending credit, allowing them to have mortgages, and in essence strengthen the entirety of the American society.
You think there are people who feel like this is giving the undocumented worker an opportunity that they don't have here as an American citizen?
Well, I mean, they can say that, but my suggestion to them is to pay your bills on time, work hard, and apply for the same credit card that, and you should get it.
Let's continue the conversation, but you touched on reform. You opened that door. Let's walk through it. Your president is in favor of a guest worker program. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do, with some provisos. I think that there doesn't need to be an amnesty program. I think this country has a right to say who stays and who goes. I think we have a right to control our borders. It's irresponsible to do otherwise. However, there are two different issues. There's a border security issue, and then there is an issue with respect to immigrants that are here. There are millions of folks here.
12 to 15 million.
12 to 15 million.
Low estimate.
Probably a low estimate.
Yes. And so how do we handle those?
Well, I think what we do is we do a graduated earned citizenship program where if you've demonstrated that you have held a job, continuous work history for 5 years, you have not committed any crimes, which, just so you know, the immigrants commit crimes in statistically lower numbers than the general population, and you pay your taxes. Those three things, and I think after 5 years, you have demonstrated what it takes to be a good American.
Well, you heard many of the citizens in Fort Worth and Laurie Berger's piece.
Yeah.
And Bank of America is being thrown under the bus kind of right now, but rest assured they're all lining up to roll out their own programs, other financial institutions. But do you think, as we close this segment, do you think that this causes the chasm, if you will, to grow wider between the undocumented worker and American citizens?
No, I don't, and here's why. Because one of the strongest ties that binds folks are fiscal ties. And when you have a large group of folks who are fiscally tied to this country, generating income, spending money, you're going to see some return on that in terms of binding the two groups together. So I think at the end of the day, this is going to actually unify everybody rather than divide everybody.
All right, but right now it's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right. Michael Ysasaga, Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you coming and talking about this issue.
Sure.